Very good afternoon, children. Hope you're all doing good. In today's class, let's talk about ecosystem. A very quick revision, right? All right. Now, if you can see here, ecosystem is of two types: natural ecosystem and artificial. Artificial ecosystem is of many examples we have: crop, fields, and aquarium. The natural ecosystem are of two types: terrestrial and aquatic. Terrestrial, we have three examples: forest, deserts, and grasslands. Aquatic, we have three types again: marine water, then estuary, then freshwater. Then deserts, there are hot deserts and cold deserts. Yes, there are cold deserts as well. Hot deserts, to example, Sahara and Thar. Sahara in Africa, Thar in Rajasthan. Cold deserts, to examples here, Gobi in Mongolia and Ladakh in Ladakh. Ladakh is right now separated from Jammu and Kashmir. Now it has been given a Union Territory rank, right? Jammu and Kashmir. Then freshwater, very important points here. Rivers and streams make up flowing freshwater, while ponds and lakes make up stagnant freshwaters. So flowing waters are called lotic, lot, float. Remember, lot, float. So lotic, floatic, flowing. So lentic is stagnant. Now, grasslands are of two types: tropical grasslands and temperate. You have to go through savannas, prairies, all these things. Then let's talk about the next one. Ecosystem has three aspects: components, structure, and function. So components are of two here: abiotic and biotic. Biotic components are producers, consumers, and decomposers. Producers are autotrophs, consumers are heterotrophs, and decomposers are saprotrophs. Abiotic factors we learned in the last video: temperature, light, pressure, soil, all these things. Now structure. Abiotic ecosystem has a structure. Abiotic and biotic components interact. When they interact, they make up a physical structure. Now this structure has two key structural features. What are they? Species composition and stratification. Now, what do you mean by species composition? Every ecosystem has its unique species, and that makes up the species composition. What is stratification? Right? Now let us consider this to be a forest. You have a big tree, and then you have herbs here, then you have bushy shrubs here, then you have grasses. So if you can see, this vertical arrangement of different heights of plants in a forest is called stratification. So you can say first order is this: grasses, then you have shrubs, then you have herbs, and finally you have trees. So this vertical arrangement of plants in a forest refers to stratification. Now, and then ecosystem also has a function. We'll talk about that later. Now producers, they convert simple inorganic material into complex organic form with the help of sunlight and chlorophyll. Solar energy is converted into chemical energy, and so producers are also called transducers. Now in terrestrial ecosystem, major producers are herbaceous and woody plants. In aquatic ecosystem, the major producers are phytoplanktons, algae, submerged plants, floating plants, and marginal plants. Now let's talk about the consumers. Now, consumers are of different types: primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, and top carnivores. Now NCERT point, very important: mollusks, tadpole larvae, and mosquito larvae. All these three are best examples for primary consumers in aquatic ecosystem. Now primary consumers are eaten up by secondary consumers, which further down the line are eaten up by tertiary, and they are eaten up by top carnivores. Top carnivores are never eaten by anybody unless they are dead. Now, if you call this to be an ecological pyramid, trophic level 1, followed by trophic level 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. Now, decomposers is the next type of, biotic components. So, they are opposite to producers. Producers convert simple into complex. Decomposers convert complex organic into simple inorganic stuff by releasing enzymes. And who are releasing these enzymes? The decomposers. We have two major categories of decomposers here: small invertebrates like earthworms, then termites. So small invertebrates like earthworms and termites, and FBF. FBF refers to fungi, bacteria, flagellates. These are called micro-consumers because you cannot see them with your naked eye. You need at least a simple microscope to see some of them. Now let's talk about the productivity. Right, children? Now productivity refers to the rate of production of biomass. Biomass can be called organic matter as well. Now, productivity is of three types: primary productivity, secondary, and community productivity. Now, primary productivity refers to amount of biomass produced per unit area over certain time by plants. So plants are producing this, you call it as primary productivity. While consumers do this, you call as secondary productivity. Then how do you measure this amount of productivity, amount of biomass? You either measure in terms of weight or in terms of energy. If it is by weight, the units are grams, meter inverse, year inverse. And if it is energy, kilocals, meter inverse, year inverse. Now, the primary productivity is of two types: gross primary productivity and net primary productivity. Likewise, secondary productivity as well is of two types: gross secondary productivity and net secondary productivity. Now, GPP is equal to NPP plus R. What is R here? Respiratory loss. It means NPP is equal to GPP minus R. The productivity of biosphere, if you can take whole biosphere, the productivity is 170 billion tons approximately. This is the annual net primary productivity. In 170 billion tons, though oceans make up 70% area, they only cater 55 billion tons, while land occupies only 30% area, yet its contribution to NPP is 115. Very, very, very important point. So, annual net primary productivity of the biosphere is approximately 170 billion tons, of which land contributes major proportion compared to oceans. Now, this is very important here. Biomass is the organic matter measured in grams. Standing crop is the amount of biomass per unit area, that is gram per meter square. And productivity is amount per area per time, so gram per meter square per year, or if you measure this in heat, kilocals per meter square per year. So what is NPP? Available biomass for consumers at what level? T2. So GPP is directly eaten up by the immediate consumers, which are the herbivores and decomposers. Now this is very important point, children. This one here, look at this. Now the amount of inorganic matter in a unit area is standing state, while the amount of organic matter per unit area standing crop. See, please mind the difference. The amount of inorganic matter is standing state, while the amount of organic matter is standing crop. This is per unit area in an ecosystem. Right? Now, if you can see here, so secondary productivity is the rate of production of biomass by consumers. This is actually the stored biomass of plants. The productivity is very much higher in tropics, coral reefs, sugarcane fields, while productivity is less in deserts and deep sea. Now, why do you think tropics have highest productivity? You must have learned in biodiversity, right? What did you learn? Tropics are very close to the equator. This is the equator. And let us say this is tropics region. Tropics are very close to the equator. And sunlight falls directly on the tropics, while if it is temperate, sunlight falls in oblique regions. So sunlight, more sunlight, then more abundant natural resources, more rainfall is present in tropics, and so they have much productivity. Likewise, coral reefs are called rainforests of the oceans. Then sugar cane fields, not only sugar cane fields, most of the agricultural area. Then deserts, they have two challenges. One is hot temperature, the other is scanty rainfall. And deep seas also have two problems. Number one, as you go deeper into the sea, the light is less. So no light actually in the deepest part of the ocean, the benthic region, and so there's hardly any photosynthesis. And also temperature is a problem in deep sea. Right? Now, what is ISR? Incident solar radiation. If we consider this to be 100%, less than 50% is photosynthetically active radiation, while more than 50% is trapped up by the clouds and put up in the dust and scattered by the gases and all. Now, in this less than 50% power, 2 to 10% of power is used by producers for photosynthesis to make gross primary productivity. You can call it as 2 to 10% of power or 1 to 5% of incident solar radiation. Very, very, very important. Now, let us consider this 1 to 5%. In this 1 to 5% of ISR, NPP is 0.8 to 4% and R respiratory loss is 0.2 to 1. If you can add 0.8 and 0.2, that becomes 1. If you add 0.4 and 1, that becomes 5. So this is 1 to 5% of incident solar radiation. You calculate it for 2 to 10% power. Now this respiratory loss differs among different organisms. For producers, the respiratory loss is 20%. For herbivores, it is 30%. For carnivores, it is 60%. It means as you're going up the trophic level, what is increasing? The loss is increasing, meaning the energy that is gained is actually decreasing. Now pyramids. There are 3 basic types of pyramids in the ecosystem: pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass, and pyramid of energy. The pyramid of biomass is upright, for example in grassland ecosystem, and it is inverted in tree ecosystem and spindle shaped again in tree ecosystem. You can see grass, the number of grass is more than the number of grasshoppers, which is more than the number of sparrows. Number is decreasing, upright. Now take a tree ecosystem. Tree is only 1. Let us say the herbaceous birds are 5. And on each bird there are, let us say there are at least 10 insects on the birds. This is otherwise a parasitic ecosystem or parasitic food chain. It is inverted. The number is increasing. Now spindle shape, let us say one tree, and one tree is inhabited by 5 small birds, and all the birds are eaten up by one hawk or one snake. So this is again spindle shape. Now pyramid of biomass is upright or inverted. Upright in grassland ecosystem, inverted in aquatic ecosystem. Look at this. Pyramid of number is upright in grassland ecosystem. Pyramid of biomass is also upright in grassland ecosystem. Then pyramid of energy, you all know it is always upright. As you go up the trophic level, energy definitely decreases. We understand this by Lindeman's 10% law. Okay. Let's see what is ecological succession. Now ecological succession refers to, and let us say, a disturbance. Now any disturbance caused in the ecosystem causes environmental pressure. This environmental pressure causes changes. These changes will make the ecosystem vulnerable. And finally, life in the ecosystem undergoes threatenment. This threatened. So life once threatened dies, and then again succession happens and life comes back. Now when life comes back, let us see the changes first. Now these changes that are brought about in the ecosystem are gradual changes and they're fairly predictable changes. All these changes together lead to succession. Now during ecological succession, some species colonize and population increases, while some species decline and even disappear. Okay, now there are 2 types of ecological successions: xerarch and hierarch. Xerarch in the dry regions and hierarch in the wet regions. Now how do you remember? There are 5 stages: lichens, followed by mosses, then grasses, herbs and shrubs. How do you memorize this? Let me go to high school. L for lichen, M for mosses, G for grass, H for high school, S for shrub. Let me go to high school. And hierarch, what is the order? Please subscribe for free reading material to score. Phytoplanktons followed by submerged, then free floating reed swamp, marsh meadow, scrub. Okay, now either it is xerarch or it is hierarch. The final climax population is always a forest. So xerarch meaning dry, then hierarch is wet. Together the final climax community is mesic, which is a forest. Now any biotic community has 3 stages: pioneer community, intermediate community is also called serial stages, and a climax community. So all these 3 together refers to as SEER. Don't get confused. SEER is a combination of all the communities, while serial stages refer to only the intermediate stages. Very important, children. Lichens, you know, you must have known this already. Lichens, they produce weak acids, carbonic acid, which then solubilizes the rock. From the rock, then soil comes out, and then followed by mosses. Right? So in the next video, let's talk about decomposition. Have a good day. Bye-bye.